Hi there, we're here for another interview, and we are here with a student. She used to be my student when I started to teach middle school. Her name is Dani Belmonte. Hi, Dani, how are you?
Hi, teacher. Really good, thank you. And you?
Yes, I'm very fine, thanks. Would you like to introduce yourself by telling us a little bit more about what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Dani Belmonte, as the teacher has said already. I am 22 years old. I am studying animation and digital art at Tec de Monterrey, and I am graduating on December this year. So I'm pretty excited, but also a bit nervous about it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, great, Danny. Well, in this interview, I would like if you could talk a little bit more about your experiences speaking English, because I remember that you have already lived in another country. I remember it was in Australia, right? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, when I was in high school, I went to Australia for an exchange program. I was 17 years old, and I lived there for almost 5 months, almost six. And it was pretty interesting working with my English because I am used to an accent that is more like, American accent. And Australia has this totally different accent and they have a lot of different words they use. They have these I don't know, slang that they use a
Yeah.
lot. So I think it was the first 2 months, it was pretty difficult for me to understand them because they speak really, really fast. So I had to tell them to slow down. So it was pretty interesting experience. But yeah, I got to know a lot about the country, a lot about more about the language because my program was actually to go to school with them, to with the Australian students. So I think it was 3 classes that were completely in English with them. So it was pretty interesting, getting to know them, or having the exams in their language, which I had, but you could use some words in Spanish if you kind of like messed up your presentation, but there you couldn't do that because they wouldn't understand you. So it was pretty fun. It was pretty interesting because we were only 9 students that went there. So yeah, I lived all by my own with a Australian family. They were 2 kids. One was, I remember, she was 12 years old, and the other one was 8, and the mother. So yeah, every day when I went home, I had to speak with them English all day, and yeah, it was pretty fun. They took me to some parties with their family, so yeah, it was pretty amazing. I really enjoyed it. Also because I love the language, I love English, and I love speaking English. So yeah, I really like that experience.
Yes. Can you share with us a couple of slangs that are said in Australia that probably we couldn't understand immediately?
Yeah, well, for mosquitoes, they said monkeys. Uh,
Okay.
Cockroach were cookies. What else? Sheila, that was a woman, but it was used more like in the center of Australia where they have these, Aboriginal and I don't know, these different like in Mexico, that in the north side of Mexico you have different words. They in Australia also had that. But I remember those. I remember Biki. Biki was biscuit. They call the English people blue true blues. Uh, New people from New Zealand were called Kiwis.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of words. Those are the ones that I remember. I think for swimsuit, they called them cosis.
All right.
So yeah, it was pretty weird at first, but we got used to it. And also we had this amazing English teacher there that gave us a whole sheet with the most used slang in Australia. So it was a bit easier for us to understand it. But yeah, it was pretty funny actually.
All right, that sounds really nice to live in another country that is not Mexico. But can you tell us a little bit more about your experiences traveling to other countries? I remember you told me you have been in Europe.
Yeah, I went. Well, it was more for vacation with my family. We went to Italy, to some, well, Rome, Florence, a lot of little villages there in Italy, pretty beautiful. We also went to Madrid, to London, and to Paris. So, yeah, I've been there too.
From those cities that you mentioned, which was like the one that you said, this is my favorite one from Europe?
I think from talking about cities, I don't know because I enjoyed all of them. But about countries, I think the one that I enjoyed the most was Italy because it was the one I got to know a little bit better. Because the tour that we took there was a complete tour only about Italy. So we got to, go to a lot of small villages to understand how they made some, I don't know, jewelry. So it was pretty interesting. In comparison to just seeing, for example, London, we were there like 2 days only. So in Italy, we had, I think it was almost 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it was pretty different how I got to know each country, each city. But I think I enjoy all of them.
Really nice. And now let's go back to everything that you are doing now. All right. Can you tell us like a little bit more about what you're studying? Because I can see that you are very into animation and I can see you love it, right? Tell us more about this world of animation.
Yeah, well, the animation world is actually pretty big. We don't usually think about it like that because we only see the final product. We only see movies or, animated series. But actually, there's a lot of production behind that. So there are a lot of different departments, but the one I am more interested in is actually 3D animation, which
Mhm.
is it's pretty interesting because I think one of the most important things an animator has to have, it's to be really good observing because, you have to understand how movement works or how you can express an idea only by movement, no? Especially because you have these just a 3D model that doesn't move and you need to make it express something. So I think it's pretty interesting. It's pretty, I don't know, I love that part of the animation world. Actually, I got to love 3D animation because one of my teachers was an animator in the Spider-Verse movie in Sony Pictures. So he told us everything about how was the process and working on a really big movie like that, how he felt after they won the Oscar. So all of that, all of those things, all of that information got me to get even more excited and trying to, get more into the 3D animation, which is a lot of practice, a lot of observation, and a lot of time to get, to these studios. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
So then you are saying that you got inspired of studying that because of a teacher.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Listen, what you said it's really nice because sometimes people they don't realize how important teachers are, and in by what you're saying, I can realize that how can someone inspire someone else to do what you're doing, and I think that the role of a teacher in society is very important. Don't you think so?
Yeah, yeah, I think the same, especially when you see a teacher that is teaching something they love and they do it with,
Mhm.
this enthusiasm of making
Passion.
passion of making the students know more or be better. I think that's really inspiring and is something that inspired me from that teacher in
All
particular.
right. Listen, I suppose that um, study English has been very important to you, and I can see that the way you do it, it's really nice. Uh, is there something that you can recommend to my viewers about what can they do to improve their English?
Well, when I was starting to, get into English and learning more about it, I watched a lot of movies in English. Right now, if there is a movie that I know is from United States or from London or whatever, I try to watch it in that language. And if I can, I watch the subtitles, but in English, so
Hmm.
I can get used to how it is pronounced, but also how it is written. So I think that is a pretty good way to get to know English better. Also, listen to a lot of music in English, but not just, have it as a background sound, just,
Hmm.
but to pay attention to the lyrics, to pay attention of how they pronounce the words, because when they sing, they pronounce them different, no?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be my recommendation. Also, try to practice alone. I don't know if you see in a movie a line that you like, try to say it until you get used to that pronunciation and
Mhm.
understand what they're saying. So, yeah.
Yes, really nice recommendation, Danny. Well, I just would like to thank you for being here and to take some time to have this interview. It was really nice to have you here. Is there anything else that you would like to add or to say to our viewers about how English is so important in your life?
Oh yeah, I think English is pretty important right now because we are living in a globalized world right now, and we need to be able to get to communicate with others. We have these amazing tools to get to know people from all around the world, and I think English is a really universal language. And also, I think for getting a good job, it's one of the first things they ask you, to have a good level of English and to be able to communicate with others. But yeah, I think that also if you want to know about the world, if you want to travel, I think English is the best tool you could have, actually. Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you very much and
Thank you.
goodbye. Hope
Bye.
we
It was
can
a
have
pleasure.
another interview later. See
Yeah,
you.
of course. Bye.